Interesting, Cornell at 23. Haven't seen him some time.
Trained well, Simon. So, he's, he probably deserves a bit of a chance. And as I said, he's trained nicely, he covers 12-13 wing. He's an experienced player, he's played Test rugby. And it's a big game. So, you look at those French backs they brought. I think 6 of those French backs are or those Bordeaux backs are in the French squad. So, to have guys like Yaku who played for Scotland and have Cornell who played Springboks, obviously creates a bit more depth in our bench.
I would have thought you would have started with Aka, but you have obviously a different reason.
Look, I think Aka, Kuta and Simpi would probably be a good combination. And if you think, Jan Hendrik, Gerard and Morne have probably scrummed more together since I've been here. So it's probably a combination of Jan Hendrik was good last week, and also, as I said, I think the bench would have scrummed together more than if I put Aka with those other guys and then put Jan Hendrik with Kuta and Simpiwe. So, it's I think Morne and Gerard scrummed a lot together, and Jan Hendrik would have been part of that in the last couple of seasons, so I went with that.
Small elephant in the room, last question. Jan Hendrik's line-out throws.
It's not a small elephant in the room, guys. I'm fully confident he'll get it right. I remember there was a hooker called Malcolm Marks who lost a test match for South Africa against the All Blacks. Same hooker, I think, lost a couple of games for the Lions in his learning process, and now you would say Malcolm Marks probably one of the best players in the world. So, I suppose that's the school fees we have to pay. The only way he's going to learn it is to play in a big game and have to throw the ball in on the try line. And I'm happy to keep pushing him, because when he gets it right, he's got all the attributes of being a great player. So it's not as I said, not an elephant in the room. He knows he's got to work hard on that. I think you guys wouldn't be aware, but sometimes the calling of having a 21-year-old guy calling a line out also influences the call, but we'll get it right. I'm comfortable that the more he gets into those situations, the better he's going to become.
Jake, just speaking about development of players, Mpilo Kumete starts at 7 this week. How important is he again just being versatile within that back row?
Well, it's funny enough, I spoke to Ulrich this morning and I said to him, he mustn't read anything into the fact that Kumedi's gone to 7. I think I've said to you many times that one of the things the Bulls want to do is have different combinations. We've got Marco van Staden back soon, and that means that changes the dynamic of our loose forward combination. And a guy like Kumedi was outstanding last week, and I think he's good enough to play 7 and 8. He's strong, he's physical, he's quick. And I'd like to see him and Cameron and Marcel together. And that means next week, who knows, maybe he plays with Marku and Marcel together again. And I think one thing coaches try and do is you want to create competition in positions, and he played well enough to make another start, just like Jan Hendrik last week. So players like to believe if they play well enough, they get another chance, and he impressed everybody. So much so that when I was in the hotel after the game, one of the French journalists asked me who my number 8 was. Then I get worried, because obviously clubs in France start to but that just shows you how good he was, that even the French journalists noticed how good he was last week.
Just for tomorrow's game, how important will it be to just start well and just similar to how you started at this studies?
I think especially against Bordeaux, because one thing they're very good at is they start well and they run away with games quickly. A start is always good. You always want to try and create pressure and start well. But if you look at our bench, Springbok, 2 Springboks or 2 internationals on the bench in the backs, Ulrich Low on the bench, Aka van der Merwe on the bench, both Springboks. So I'm trusting the fact that if we need to play catch-up rugby at the end, we'll have a bench that's good enough to do that as well. But we want to start well. I think the pressure is obviously on us, and I say that because they've qualified, and we've got so many permutations that can happen. We can literally go from 1st in our pool to 4th in our pool. Sometimes even 5th if Saracens and Bristol play really well. So it's important to start well, but I think at the end of the day we just got to make sure we get a result tomorrow.
Jake, you guys got an exceptional record against European opposition the last couple of years. How important is that, or is it just simply about surviving it this week?
Oh, look, it's always important, Brendan. I mean, we want to win every time we play. We want to win, not only away, we want to win at home. I mean, Loftus says, can't talk about altitude and 3 o'clock heat if you don't use it in your favour. So yeah, every week, no matter who we play, we want to win. And whether it's European opposition, I'm not aware that we had such a good record against, but we played really well. I mean, we played well against Lyon, even when we lost that game. So I would like to have the best players playing in this competition every single Saturday. I said it last week, and I think one of the things, this is our test match. This is like when I say this level of rugby is our test match. As a club, that's when the best players play for their clubs. If you look at La Rochelle and you look at Leinster and you look at Toulouse, when the tournament gets to the business end, that's when the big guns start rolling out, and so I'm jumping around. It is a big tournament, and I want to make sure that we do as well as we can, but no different to any other week when we're playing. I mean, we want to play well against everybody.
The players obviously lifted their games against Saracens. That was a big threat to you guys. And are you feeling the same sort of feeling in the camp this week, that guys are excited about this?
Yeah, well, I must say, one of the things I sort of spoke to them about is Owen Farrell came, Vunipola came, Alex Good came, Tompkins came, Jamie George came. They were all international players. It's no different, whether Jalabert, I'm suspecting they're going to bring their big guns. You look, six guys in the French team in the backs in Bordeaux are there, and you look at Adam Coleman's played for Tonga, Tamafuna's played for Tonga, Kane Douglas played for Australia. And so even though they might not be French internationals, some guys tell me, they got French internationals in the backs, they don't have in the forwards. Well, when I stick every other guy in the front row, or every guy in their front pack has if not played internationals, come very close to international rugby. So that's no different. I mean, that's I repeat when I say we got this tournament's got to be where the big guns roll out, And I'm lucky enough. I've coached at Montpellier. You saw how good La Rochelle were last week when they have Aldred back and they have Botti on the flank, and they're a completely different team. So it was a great test for us. I mean, it's home, 3 o'clock, in front of our crowd, all to play for. All to play for. As I said, you play really well, you come first. So there's no reason why we won't be ready or won't understand the magnitude of what we need to do.
What would you like to see from your side? They're obviously a classic outfit, not easy to beat.
Just a win. That's, I suppose, if I could choose, just a win. I don't think people talk about if you beat them by so many points, and if you, let's not be, as I said, let's not be naive and think that this is a tough competition, and winning is a premium, because so many things change. And let's not forget, Saracens play Lyon. And at Lyon, when that game, there's no guarantee we come second either. So we got to do the job and get a win first. And I think that's the first most important thing, is to play well enough to get a win.
Coach, how important it is for your players not to sort of get drawn into this occasion, and just also not be desperate. Just to be themselves.
Well, let me say that I actually want them to get drawn into this occasion, because this is what it's all about. This you can't, as I said, you can't hide when you get tested in these situations. Like as Jan Hendrik in a lineup, or this is. I want them to get drawn into it. I want them to understand that this is where you get judged as a player. So we can talk all the time about we're growing and we're getting better, and our teams coming nicely together, and our play is looking good, but this is the measurement of whether you can or can't make it. It's it's having coached international rugby as well. This is as close as it gets to test rugby. It might not be a full house, and it might not feel the same aura when you run out in a test match, but it's no different. You're going to get judged against a player who has the same aspirations as you to play test rugby overseas. So I suppose I want them to feel that. I can't help them, because that's the pressure they have to feel. It's like, I often use an analogy about golf, and Quibus will understand this, but you want to have the pressure of walking down the 18th and being able to win the competition. You don't want the pressure of playing on a Friday to make the cut. And that's basically where we want to get to. We want this pressure. We want to be able to play against the best and see how good we are. And we have the ability to come first and win it. So that's not bad pressure. That's nice sport pressure, if you understand what I'm saying.
Thank you, Brian. MW? Jacob van der Walt is wondering, he's now getting an opportunity from the bench. We were wondering why he hasn't had an opportunity before now.
Yeah, well, the most important thing is he got injured a little bit at a crucial time. It wasn't a big injury, but he got injured. And the other thing is going to take a while for him to learn all the things that we do as a backs. I mean, Chris has probably been a little bit more oiled in all the calls, but I've got no doubt that the more we put Yaku in those positions at training, and the more we get him involved with guys like Kanan and Kirkley and those guys, there won't be a reason why he won't take the next step up. So, and he understands that. And so when he's international, he came here to play, and he told me that, saying, I don't want to come here and hold tackle bags, which I appreciate. But as I said, he probably hasn't had as much time because of training and his injury to really blend with Emmy and with Kanan and Kirkley, and once that happens, then I've got no doubt that he'll take the next step.
And Devon on the wing.
Well, two things. One is, he was man of the match last week, so I'll have a right to leave a guy out when he's man of the match. And secondly, he's played wing before. He's really quick. He's an under 10, 500 meter runner, so it's not like he's going to be lost on the wing. And again, played well enough to give him another crack on the wing. And I think once Willie's here, I also don't want him to feel that, gee, I worked so hard. Willie comes back, I'm just out of the group. So I'm quite keen to see how he does, because he's also a surprise element. In terms of, I don't think Bordeaux will expect him to play on the wing, and he's got an incredible left boot as well. So it might be something we'll use as well, because it's a tactic that's obviously an added extra to our squad.
And the Willie and Devon combination should be.
Willie coach anybody. Put anybody there. Willie, I'm sure Devon will enjoy playing with Willie, because as you say, you've seen when he coaches. It's like basically they just listen to what he says. It's like having a coach on the field. And Kanan and Kirkley told me the same thing. So I'm quite keen to see what the feedback is after the game. I'm hoping that it will be exactly that, because then what will happen is that when Willie's not here and Devon goes to fullback, then hopefully he'll take those learnings and help the wingers as he's going to get help tomorrow.
Jack,
Ja.
Jack, verlede jaar hierdie tyd het die Billy deur 'n moeilike tyd gegaan, en ek dink in al drie kompetisies baie wedstryde verloor. As mens nou kyk, interstand plek in die URC, 'n kans om môre eers te eindig in die groep. Dink jy ons definitief dat dit baie vooruitgang dusver hierdie jaar?
Ja, wel kom ons daar is baie groei gewees in die laaste jaar. En die ander ding, ek was hierdie tyd verlede jaar in hospitaal, so dit was heeltemal anders. En onthou, ons het al 2 naweke oor die Kersfees en die nuwe jaar gespeel, en ek dink, om eerlik te wees, dis eintlik 'n helse voordeel vir daai spanne om op die kus te speel daai tyd. Die feit dat ons 'n ekstra week afgehaat het, ek dink verander baie dinge, en dis die leer wat ons ook gekry het. Was nie net op die veld nie, dit was wat ons beplan het van die veld af. So ja, ek is baie dinge het verander, en ek is baie bly dat ons uit daai goed geleer het. Nie net ek nie, die CEO, die mense wat besluite maak, en op die veld ook. Jy sien, ons speel baie goeie rugby. Ons verdediging is baie beter, en ek sê dit van die feit dat verlede jaar, ons het baie tye, baie goeie drieë gedruk, maar ons het baie sagte drieë afgegee. En hierdie jaar, maar die laaste spel van verlede week was 'n 3. Anders was het 11 punte wat hulle teen ons aangeteken het, en nog steeds 17 punte om Bristol vast te hou vir 17 punte, is maar goeie vertoning. So ja, ek is heeltemal tevrede waar ons is. Ek dink ons squad is beter, ek dink die diepte is beter, en soos jy sê, daar's 'n persoon soos Jaco van der Walt wat internasionaal gespeel het, wat nog nie baie tyd gekry het nie. So ons is in 'n baie goeie plek. En ek sien uit vir môre. Soos ek net nou gesê, dis 'n groot toets. En dis 'n uitdaging, maar ek dink ek wil graag die spelers, daai druk gee. Ek dink dit is belangrik vir hulle as 'n groep om daai druk te kry.
Jake, just the last one, and I think we've visited this question many times. The what's the word that I'm looking for? The size of this competition, the magnitude, the whole thing that comes to and like you explained at pains, it's international players, it's test players, it's a combination of both. But still, South African rugby and especially Bulls rugby supporters have not grasped it yet. What can be done? What can be done about this?
Well, I think it will take time. Super Rugby, when they started, also guys didn't really like Super Rugby, and then who the Reds, and then it was, remember, at first was franchises, so it was like Free State were playing, and then it changed to franchises where the Golden Lions played, and it wasn't Transvaal anymore, and they'd won it. Transvaal won it when Kitch and Francois were coaching. Now you can imagine, as a supporter, I mean, there's tournaments in tournaments, and there's 1 week you got internationals, then you don't have internationals. So I mean, I heard from someone yesterday, he's a fanatical rugby guy and he supports Free State. He wants to know why Free State play in Amsterdam. I mean, if he's a rugby guy and he supports that team and he doesn't understand why they're in Amsterdam, what is the likelihood an average supporter in South Africa understands what's happening in Investec, Champions Cup or Challenge Cup versus URC? Why 1 week is this team playing and that team playing? All I can say to you is that I think when they get it, they'll understand, is that the best clubs in club rugby come together to play in the Champions Cup. Now, if I use football as an example, football players that go to a club have in their contract that if they don't get to play Champions Cup football, they can leave and go to another club. That's how big it is in football. And I'm sure that what's going to happen in rugby is when people understand that Champions Cup rugby is exactly that. It's where the best 24 teams in the world play against each other. And therefore every guy aspires to get tested at that level. I mean, every boy in South Africa wants to be a Springbok. But the next level of where he's going to get tested is against international players in this competition. I mean, so Free State, if I use that example, they're trying their hardest to come out of Challenge Cup into Champions Cup. And teams that are playing in the URC are fighting their lives out to make sure they can finish in the 8, to make sure they qualify for Champions Cup. So there's so many, things at play. But I think supporters will eventually get to, you're going to see the best players. I mean, it is sad when you think about it. If you play a team here and they have 10 internationals or 15 internationals, that's almost like a test match that you don't fill the stadium. I mean, when I spoke about the Saracens game, to have Farrell here, Farrell's played 100 times for his country, he's captain of England, he's played in 2 World Cups, he's got 2 medals at World Cups, so you're not just an average rugby player. Itoji the same, Jamie George the same. You would think that having gone what we've gone through in South Africa with a shortage of international sport for so long, that when we get these big games and these big teams, that everyone should actually be saying, geez, I want to watch these guys play live. So, but it will happen, Siva. I mean, I said that I'm fully aware of the fact that I was part of Super Rugby from 1996 when I was at the Lions with Ray Mort, and it was the same thing. People didn't understand why we play 4 games away on tour and they only play 1 year or 2 year, and why, then it went to conference systems, and they thought, why is it in conference systems? You don't play the Reds this year and all that. So when it does take off and the public understand that these players that are the best in South Africa are going to play against the best of other countries, then I've got no doubt there will be a buy-in.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.